Welcome back, gamers of all variety, to some more Robocraft with me, Wraulin here, and we're going to be looking at some different builds I did this week, some hovercrafts using the strut armor and electroplate combinations, and then we're going to be looking at a higher CPU one after this one's over with. So I'll give you a little insight. Hopefully it'll give you some inspiration for your own builds. Also got a little bit of information for you. We got that chat and clans patch coming out on Tuesday, September 6th, right around the corner, according to Left of Never, the PR guy for Pre-Jam. Let's go ahead and get started. So my first strut vehicle here is the Slaytech Droid. It is a lower CPU, something I wanted about level 35 for newer players, 850 CPU total, and uses a little bit of cosmetics, electroplates, and then of course struts. And this is a little bit unique as that these pieces here do not connect to anything that is a movement part or really essential. They're just basically to absorb damage when you take a shot from a plane or something. All this can come out without affecting the craft whatsoever, and the electroplates on the outside too can also come off without affecting the craft whatsoever. So you can lose a lot of armor and still be in motion, and one of the things you really want to do in Robocraft is protect your movement parts. If you don't do that, you're going to be screwed. If you lose half your vehicle and you're wobbling around in the dirt, you're going to be plasma food. So definitely protect your internals, but that is why I decided to go this route. On the bottom here, you have all your connections for the pillars that will hold on these hover blades. In the center, I have room for one of these big radars. You can kind of see it in there. Then I threw on a speedometer and a couple of thrusters, the tier 4 and the little tier 2, just to keep this thing going quicker earlier in the match. So that is kind of the design. Let's go and take this out into a match now and see how we do. Alright, let's get started here. Looks like we both have 8 players, which is a good start. I didn't really recognize anybody's name right off the bat, but if I overlook somebody and we've played before, I apologize. I'm not the best with those written names. Let's go and take out these connection points like we always do, but of course, Plasma, you got to be a little bit better at timing, as it doesn't seem as effective at the beginning as SMGs are taking out these points. But if you get up underneath, you can still kind of core them out and get those bonus points to start with, which always kind of gets the snowball rolling and getting you higher overclock levels earlier. So, and this vehicle, it is really minimalistic as far as the weapon layout. I'm just using those Plasma Ravengers on the top to put out the damage against enemies and also for taking towers. And so it's not going to be as effective, you know, right at the beginning, but later on it ramps up and then your Plasma becomes really strong against towers. So as long as you can get those early overclocks or help your friends out by healing if you miss those tower overclock boosts, you can do pretty well. I'm pretty good at Plasma. I mean, I can hit those planes, but I think the key thing is try to stay with a group and keep them healed up. Despite what a lot of people say, heals are still very good as it lets you score in that extra category, and does actually help your team out if it's kind of a decisive battle. But you just got to know when to use it and when the appropriate time is. Here's a good example of how that strut armor works. So you can see I lost all my core struts, but I'm still flying around just fine. And look, I'm only at what 47 or 44% health there at that one point, and it wasn't affected. Still had my guns except for one of the nanos too. So I really like this design. I think it works really nicely. We didn't get down below 50% and still have full mobility. I think that is a pretty good way to go. So on this vehicle, I just put all the major components on the bottom on the underside, because that's the place you're least likely to get a shot on a hovercraft. Unless somebody places a really good plasma vest underneath you, or they're underneath you for some reason and shooting up, it's going to be hard to get your vehicle, so you can take a lot more shots. Now you are small, you don't have a lot of CPU, so you got to be smart and like get up on walls and stuff, and you're still going to die, of course, if you take too many shots. But for something that can turn and use the electroplates to its advantage as a shield, and you know, use a little bit of guerrilla tactics too with the nice speed this thing has, it's a pretty nice little vehicle, I think, all around. I just went with that kind of brown tone on this one for the electroplates, as I think that copper look on the plates looks kind of sharp, and then I like that camo off-white color to kind of blend in with surfaces like snow and rocks and stuff like that, so it works out pretty nicely. So this is kind of a little bit different as far as my armor, and I do like the struts. I have some different ideas too for like strut stacking, especially the ones that are like the vertical ones instead of these like horizontal ones that I have on this vehicle. You could really stack them and stagger them and have a lot of body armor that's in a smaller space, which is kind of what you want to do. That's one of the reasons why I think electroplates, even though they're not as good as regular blocks, they are still viable in some situations as they allow you to put more of those cubes in a smaller spot. So you're a little harder to target, and you know, you're kind of compacting in that damage. For small vehicles like this, electroplates are good. But if you got some ginormous tank or something like that, better to just use all blocks than to go heavy-duty electroplates. So that's kind of my philosophy right now. I do hope they change electroplates though, and we end up getting a whole different rework or new system to make electroplates a little bit more attractive for larger vehicles too. So I've got to get in here real quick and strip out one of these cores if I can. Let's take this whole column. We're kind of right now in the middle of the match though, so I don't think I'm going to get this whole thing done, especially with people porting in behind me. But this guy doesn't seem... Oh yeah, okay, he did notice me. We'll kind of get around here to the side. One of the most deadly things for this hovercraft is going to be people with proto-seekers, as those plates on the outside really do protect your hovers, the top and bottom ones, so you need to move your ass out of the area as soon as you see a proto-seeker coming at you. The other stuff, you can take a little bit more in the way of hits from SMGs or lasers. I keep saying SMGs, I can't quite get used to that, but lasers or plasmas and stuff like that. If you take direct hits to the hull, you know, multiple volleys and stuff, you'll lose your hovers and then you'll be kind of screwed. But I did give you that redundancy, and of course with the cube kind of layout, that 4-square layout, it makes it so you can kind of lose one of those corners without too much of a problem. So there we go. Ended up getting that victory. I did die like 3 times in that match, but not too bad, and we did score pretty well. Let's see, we got 10,000, so we did a lot of work, especially on those towers and stuff like that, and then with healing too. At 3,000, that really kind of kicked it up to the whole next level. So you could see how this would really be helpful if you were in a League Arena. Of course, this vehicle isn't quite high enough for League Arena, but let's go ahead and see what we got in our chest here, and then we'll go ahead and move to the next vehicle, the high CPU one. So hopefully we get something decent in the Protonium crate. I have been noticing, I don't know if it's just me, but I've been getting a lot more epics and a lot more rares lately. Didn't happen in this chest, but I did get that Yachtcast flag. That's kind of cool. And it's also kind of cool that I got 2 new friend invites from that last match. If you guys want to, you can also send me a friend invite at Gamerguide or Wraulin on my accounts. Those are my 2 main ones. And let's go ahead and let's go to the next garage now. So my second creation this week is the Htron droid. It also uses that strut armor technique of wrapping the entire vehicle in struts, but instead of connecting struts on struts all the way through, I put some space breakers here in between to add on gun mounts, and also for some good damage absorption. Especially with that Proto-Seeker, having 100 CPU is a great way to absorb damage. And I also feel like the Proto-Seekers have come a long way, and they're kind of useful again in certain situations with aircraft or electroplated enemies and stuff. They can come in handy. Of course, the Nano Mender's always good. Vaporizers, I love these things as they don't suck up too much of your power and they do good damage. And then you gotta have the Devastators on the side to really put out the major damage. I went with the redundant movement again on this vehicle, so it's doubled up here on each of the corners, giving you 8 hovers, and in the center I threw in a lot of the thrusters. And then I plated this whole thing up in electroplates. We're using the H electroplates on the outside and the little B's up front to kind of absorb some of those shots and let you turn your vehicle left and right as you move backwards or forward to kind of give some extra shielding when the SMG shots, or laser shots as they're called now in plasmas, come at you after you take towers. So this is kind of a guerrilla warfare vehicle as you're meant to get in quickly, hit those towers and do some fighting, and then be able to move and get out of the way before mechs and other vehicles, land vehicles like tanks and wheels, can catch up to you. So turned out pretty cool. Add some of those vapor trails just for a little bit of cosmetic look, a little bit of like a droid eye sort of thing. And anyway, what do you guys think about this? Let's go ahead and take it out into a match now and see how it fares. While we get started here, guys, if you would give me a thumbs up on this video, I'd greatly appreciate that, as it kind of helps me keep encouraged and lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content here for Robocraft. And look, we got Shockwave in with us, one of my buddies, a great player too, so I'm feeling good about this match already. We'll go ahead and start with our plasma, and you really can get away with just having 2 of the Devastators, I've noticed. So if you need to spare that CPU, and you have a left and right plasma, you can probably do okay with just having 2 of them, even though 3 I usually prefer on these vehicles. And looks like I got that kill there at the end, but definitely thanks to my buddy. Let's see if we can get out of here without getting murdered by that chain gun. Nice thing about these is you can turn your vehicle left and right and kind of use those electroplates on the sides as like a shield, especially for chain guns and missile launchers. It's very useful. Let's see how we do with the guy here. He's got that lock on me, but just went ahead and hit my front struts, exposed my hovers, but see, I didn't lose those hovers until I took that second volley blast, but now I can move it back here behind the lines and help recover. And they're still going to shoot at me as I'm moving out, but those B electroplates and the H electroplates will kind of help absorb up those shots. And we still have some struts there on the bottom too, covering up our redundant hover blades, so I'm liking that a lot. I put those menders on the front. Didn't want to go too crazy with high CPU components on this guy. I wanted to use low energy consumption stuff for the most part, except for the Protoseeker and those two big cannons. You got to have a lot of power output on the Devastators. No power module on this, just because we use so many electroplates to kind of keep us tanky and tough. And then I also want to keep this thing nice and fast too. I couldn't go with the really top tier hover blades, but I find that the next step down, they move pretty good and you can fit them in a little easier within the confines of those strut circles. So I am kind of looking forward to trying some different stuff out with struts and maybe some different kind of aircraft too. I just wish they were a little bit more affordable. It's kind of a bummer that we've lost the ability to really get the parts you need as quickly as you would like to, with having to resort to selling a bunch of robots on the CRF or buying crates and stuff like that. But that is the thing. A little announcement here too, guys. At 4 o'clock UTC, or if you live in the United States, it's going to be 10 o'clock Central Time. There's going to be a little interview or a playtime session with Drognin and some of the guys from Atlas Core. And I have actually applied for Atlas Core. I'm trying to get some games with them right now as an applicant, but having a lot of fun with it, and playing too with some of my buddies like Shockwave 2 and Com 986, and I had a fun game the other day too. But if you guys are in Atlas Core, you want to grab a couple games, just let me know. If I am on the Wraulin or Gamerguide account and I'm not making a video or something like that, I'm always down to play some games. I am definitely looking forward to how this new patch is going to shape things out and make everything a little bit more sociable, hopefully. And maybe make it a little easier to find group mates and clan mates too in the game, depending on how many of the features they roll out in this first wave of features. So very excited about that. We certainly have no lack of these shurikens in the game. I've noticed they're still out there doing their thing, and it has been a really good counterbalance to mechs, I've noticed. As I played a couple just for fun, and I was getting wrecked a couple times by some ghost module mechs, basically just coming in and chopping my legs out when I'm trying to grab these towers. A little bit easier when you're playing a hovercraft, is you can back away and then blast them in the face with plasma. So I do like playing plasmas, and I definitely, or hovercrafts, and I definitely would recommend playing a hovercraft like this for League Arena. You know, of course, make one up for your own variety, add your own weapons of choice, but being fast, really important, and then having some nice tanky armor to be able to take some shots and then get out of dodge without losing your movement or flipping around and getting yourself killed is real important. So that's one of the reasons why I really want to concentrate on these builds here, protecting movement parts more so than protecting like your weapons and stuff. So it looks like we're about to get this, and I got that very last crystal. We pulled it out, so that should be a nice score. As that whole match, I was getting lots of towers and did some decent healing, not super great, but yeah, looks like we got what, 9,040 and 8 kills, 0 deaths. Nice little game, decent amount of assists, and Shockwave was in there too, wreaking havoc on people. Got 11 kills, real nice. So anyway, guys, that is the Htron droid, and that is pretty much going to wrap up this episode. If you guys would, again, leave a comment, and if you're new here to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I also cover games like Crossout, Galactic Junk League, Reassembly, and sometimes even things like Scrap Mechanic. Little update for you on Galactic Junk League. We're going into beta on September 14th, and they're going to be adding new maps, adding new features. So that is not going away. It is just not available right now as alpha is over. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.